Hello everybody, it's me Ross and welcome to another edition of my Ipswich Town Football Club, and today I'm joined by Ben as he takes us through his town supporting life from how he became a Town fan, his favourite goal, his best moment and much more. Well Ben, thank you very much for joining me. How you been doing during these weird times we've been living in?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, and thanks for inviting me onto this. Listen, I think the same as everybody, really. A bit of frustrated, a bit of enthusiasm now. I'm kind of glad on one hand that we've not been having to sit through everything going on at Portman Road, or not going on at Portman Road as it might be. But equally, I'm looking forward to getting back there now, and the season ticket prices being released yesterday have given a little bit more impetus to that. So I think we're all just keen to write this season off, forget it, Paul Cook included, and then just get on with the new season and see what that looks like for us all.
That sounds good. And well, let's start with a standard question. How did you become a Town fan? Is the first question. Take it away.
Yeah, so I was a young lad. I grew up in a town called Newport Pagnell, which if you've been obviously the MK Dons away, you've probably all stopped at Newport Pagnell services, so maybe familiar with where it is. But at the time when we were growing up there, we didn't have any kind of professional club, so pretty much everyone supported either the London clubs or something a little bit more nearby. But I've got two older brothers and a younger brother, and my oldest brother's best mate was an Ipswich fan. From his family and whatnot, and so being easily influenced as I was as a young boy, and thinking I wanted to be like the cool older kids, I was easily influenced and basically just copied him and became an Ipswich fan that way at the young age of sort of 9-10 years old.
Brilliant. And that's always an interesting story of how you become a Town fan. Sometimes it is via a family member, but also just maybe a friend or a relative. So good story there. Now I'm interested to know what your first Town game was then. The score, the team you're playing. Obviously, was it at Portman Road or was it an away game first?
No, it was an away game. So what had happened was, this mate of mine, Jason, who basically he used to go quite a lot with his girlfriend. So he's some sort of 7-8 years older than me. And what happened was, I remember like it was yesterday. He turned up at my front door and basically said he had tickets for the game, and it was Aston Villa away in 1993. And he had these tickets, but his girlfriend was working for the day and couldn't go with him. So, basically asked my mum if he could take me, because I was only 11. So it was close to kind of my 12th birthday. So that seems a bit weird now when you sort of say the idea of maybe an 18-year-old asking to spend a day with a 12-year-old kid. But that's pretty cool. He basically asked me mum if it was okay to take me along. She said, yeah, great. Gave him some money for the ticket and me some money for a burger and whatnot for the day. And that was it. And off we went down the M6 and went to Villa Park. And it was the game that we lost 2-0. It was in that season when Villa obviously were, vying for the title. And I'm sure you'll know it, and listeners will know it, but Dean Saunders scored a magnificent goal kind of on the half volley from about 30 yards out that sailed right over Clive Baker's head into the net. And we were down the opposite end to that, of course, in the away stand. But that was it. So that was my first experience, Villa Park, 93, a 2-0 defeat, and it kind of set the scene for everything that was to come as being an Ipswich fan. But yeah, great memories, great times.
I'm going to give you an extra question here. I don't know if you will know. Can you remember your first trip to Portman Road? I know it was a long time ago, but yeah.
I can. So it was, I think it was probably the season after that, actually. So obviously, not living anywhere near the ground, as I've already said, and with my brother supporting Liverpool and my younger brother a Spurs fan, I was the only Ipswich fan. So my dad kindly took us along, and we played Southampton at home. I think that was the first home game anyway. And we won 2-1. I think Lee Chapman scored on that day. So I remember I was up in the family stand, obviously with my dad, and we had a bit of an obstructed view from a big post right in the way of us. So I remember that and going to the little club shop that was kind of on the side. It wasn't the big wonderful shop that we have now, of course. It was one of these little built-in huts that was on the side of the Cobbold stand, and got me a new hat and a scarf. So yeah, that was it. So I think I was probably about about 1994 or whatever it was, 95.
You mentioned Lee Chapman. We're going to go on to the next question. Your favourite Town player? I don't think he's probably up there as your favourite Town player.
No, it's not.
But
This is something I've struggled with, actually, if I'm honest, because I think nostalgic. When I started supporting them, and we had that great kind of League Two, or sorry, Division Two to title winning team as it was, and so I think from nostalgic purposes, I think my favourite players were a lot of the players from that kind of time, Stockwell, Kiwomia, Milton. People like that. So I'm going to stick with that. In more recent times, I really enjoyed watching Matty Holland, of course, like everybody, and I thought Marcus Stewart was absolutely brilliant for us. But I'm going to go with Mickey Stockwell. I think he's the first name that pops in my head whenever anybody asks, and I just love the versatility of the guy. I thought he was a great player.
And of course, I always look back and go, he actually made over 600 appearances for the club. It's just mental. Like nowadays, that doesn't happen. You'll get very lucky to have a player like that. But yeah, fantastic servant to the club. You've mentioned a very good goal. Of course, the opposite team, Dee Storder's goal. But next question is your favourite Town goal. Of course, there's been lots of goals scored. Of course, not currently. As a recording, we haven't scored for like 10 hours or so. So, but let's go back to the good times and talk about any favourite goals from yourself. Any contenders?
Yeah, plenty of contenders, but I think again, I kind of go with my heart with these kind of questions, and just the first image that pops into my head whenever anybody asks me that. So I go with Alex Matthey in the Destruction Derby game. It was my first derby game, being there and soaking it all up and soaking up the atmosphere. And I was sat in the North Stand, and I was kind of in line basically with where Matthey just obviously let his shoulder drop, the ball come over the top, and then hit it like an arrow into that top corner. And 60 seconds in, 64 seconds or whatever it was into the game, and the place was absolutely bouncing. So I think with everything, with the occasion, of course, who the opposition was, the quality of the finish and everything as well, for me, that ranks right up there as one of my favourite goals to have seen live.
Yeah. And, what a game that was. Of course, 5-0 against them up the road. And the next question is the favourite game you've watched. Once again, I'm sure you've gone to a lot of games, so it is just hard to choose one. So I do let my guests have different, mentions of different games and different players. So take it away. Which ones stand out for you?
I've got a couple actually, Ross, if I may, for very different reasons, and one for actually non-footballing reasons, which is so the first one is it was around I think it was the 95-96 season, and it was an away trip to Watford. So it's the first time I've been to Vicarage Road. Now I've got some favourite grounds: Vicarage Road, Selhurst Park. I love the kind of older ones, and so it was Watford away, and I remember us being 2-0 down at half time and just thinking, God, what was the point of this? It was a miserable day, if memory serves me right. The rain was coming down, and we'd had to run from the train station to get there on time because we'd arrived late and all things like that. And you're thinking, what's the point? We're 2-0 down. And then we turned it around, obviously, with a couple of goals from Matthey and a great goal from the Flying Dutchman that was Gus Uhlenbeek. And I just really loved it. It was just a great game, and whenever you come back from a 2-0 deficit or any kind of deficit to win the game, it ranks right up there in the memory. But away games are particularly special to do that, I think. So that's right up there. And then the other one was Bristol Rovers away in the FA Cup, and I think it was 1998, but not because the game was anything special. Stockwell scored actually as my favourite player, so he got us the equaliser. But it was the hail. Anybody that went to that game, we couldn't watch it. Me and my mate, we were taking it in turns to actually watch the game and commentate to the other one about what was happening, because we could not watch for more than 5 minutes at a time because the hail coming down onto your face was just too painful to actually do it. And I remember it wasn't my turn to actually be watching the game. He was commentating and he's like, yeah, Stockwell, and then we're obviously jumping around and all of that. And I had to wait until we'd driven all the way home from Bristol that night and then watch the highlights on Match of the Day to have actually seen our goal. But soaked to the bone, 1-1, FA Cup, a ground I haven't actually been back to again since. So yeah, great occasion. Not a great spectacle, but that's up there as a favourite game, probably for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I was about to say that them sort of games are the ones you want to forget because of the weather. But sometimes, yeah, they're not classics, but they always have a random moment in it. And yeah, it's it's always
Yeah,
interesting when you look at the forecast and go, "Oh dear, expect to
yeah,
get very wet." And yeah, it could not be a good game.
yeah. Can't
Um,
honestly remember anything about that game. Nothing at all, apart from just being, in a lot of pain from the hail, and that was it. So, yeah, I would have been better off not being there. People who probably watched the highlights know more about the game than me, and I was there. But it was, yeah, good times.
Definitely. And next question is about kits. Once again, I want to add another question on here. I want to know what your first town kit was. I'm sure, as you said, your family didn't really support town, so I'm sure that would have been hard to get yourself a kit at that time. But can you remember your first kit and your favourite kit of all time, anyway?
Yeah, they're kind of one of the same, if you like. So the first kit was the blue Fisons one from the 91-92 league winning season. So, I mean, yeah, we didn't have any kind of local club shop to us, and none of the local sports shops sold Ipswich stuff. That was for sure. So we did it through the old-fashioned way of ordering a catalogue, getting that to come through the post, and then flicking through the glossy pages and filling out an order form at the back and getting it to come through. So, yeah, something that you kind of forget these lovely little things that you used to do. But so that was the way that we ordered all of the merchandise, and using up your pocket money to do that. So the first one I had was definitely the blue 91-92 Bison's kit. My favourite kit is actually from the same season and the same range, but it was the away, the white one with the kind of little blue bits on the sleeve. And even the tangerine third kit, I thought it was an absolute thing of beauty. I love our orange, bright orange tangerine kits that we do. So that whole 91-92 strip, if you like, all three kits for me are my favourite. I think, again, probably just because they're the first ones that I associate with falling in love with the club over. So then for me are the ones that when we've released the Copa range, I've repurchased the home one again. The original obviously doesn't fit me anymore. So yeah, that's what we've got. And if they want to launch the other ones as well, I'm sure I'd be quite happy to purchase them too.
Yeah, they definitely those get snapped up really quickly. I think I just love the Fisons logo because it says what it is on the tin. Fisons, white lettering, beautiful. It's bold. There we
Yeah,
go, and they're definitely good kits.
I think it's one of those that's a bit synonymous with Ipswich as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
People see it and recognise it, in the same way that you kind of think of JVC and Arsenal in my book. So yeah, I like it. I like the Fisons. Obviously, it had the local kind of heritage to it all and everything like that. But yeah, for me, I think it's just always going to be the one that you first watched your team playing in, isn't it? And that's what it was for me. But the one I think it was 95-96 with the laces. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that kit. I like that a lot, but
Yeah.
it doesn't quite make the cut for my favourite.
No. I don't think we'll ever see a kit like that again in these current times. I don't think we'll see laces in kits. I think that was definitely a 90s thing. I think we'll probably keep it in the 90s.
Yeah.
But from kits to your worst moment, I always like to end this series on a high note. So talk about your worst moment. Have you got a personal story?
Worst moment outside of the last couple of seasons. Yeah, I think we'll try and delve a little bit further back into the memory bank with that. I'm going to say West Ham in the playoffs 2004. Just because, I mean, losing in the playoffs it hurts so much more than any regular league game, because there's absolutely, I mean, this was the second leg. We'd gone there, obviously, I think with a 1-0 lead. And we had, for me, probably our best team. I think it was even better than the team that got promoted in 99 2000. And so for me, I thought it was a really strong team. We went there with a lot of energy and enthusiasm as fans, and obviously packed out. Upton Park was a great stadium as well, and under the lights on a playoff evening was great. So the atmosphere was brilliant, but yeah, losing 2-0 and that really hurt. And yeah, so I think for that one, I remember at the end of the game there was a young girl behind me with her dad, and she was absolutely bawling her eyes out, and really unconsolable. And I remember saying to her, "Don't worry, we'll be back." And I don't think we have been. So it was a bit of a liar. But at the time, it kind of felt like we'd always be there in the semi-finals every single year. But yeah, that one I think hurt the most. I mean, there was another game, but I wasn't personally at it. Of course, was the 7-1 defeat at Peterborough. I mean, that was absolutely. I remember watching that down the pub on Sky Sports, and that hurt. I mean, that that was levels of anger, I think, creeping in there. So, but I wasn't there, so I haven't put it in there. I've tried to associate it with somewhere I was physically at, and could go through the whole roller coaster of emotions.
I think I'm surprised that not many people mentioned that because yeah, it's a terrible defeat. I think that's probably why we're trying to forget it happened against Peterborough, and it was live on Sky. What makes it more worse? I was there actually, as I think I must have been 14 probably at the time, and I probably went, "Why am I watching this? Why am I supporting this team? We're losing 7-1 against Peterborough." But we did have 2 players sent off, and yeah, it was not a good game.
Yeah, no, definitely. But like I said, I think had I been there, that definitely would have been right up as the worst moment of my life.
Yeah.
But because I wasn't, I'm able to just put it to the back of my memory and delete the recording and move on with my life. So
definitely. Well, finally, let's bring our mood up a bit, and let's talk about your best moment as a Town fan. Have you got a personal one to bring us?
Oh, I mean, Wembley is always going to be hard to get away from, isn't it? I mean, I think it's everyone's stock answer, really. Anything to do with that and the Bolton semi-finals and whatnot. But I think one particular moment. You've really sprung that one on me. I'm going to have to be. I'll say San Siro. I'll tell you what, and just because obviously, I mean, listen, you say the San Siro and the occasion. I know we got absolutely hammered that night, but I don't think anybody to a man cared. I don't, we were just all there, so happy to be there, and being able to tell people that you went to the San Siro to watch Inter Milan as an Ipswich fan, not as a tourist or anything like that, with a proper meaningful game. That was a once in a lifetime list ticker. So impossible, I think, to ever recreate the feeling of Wembley. I don't think anybody who experienced Wembley and winning the playoffs and putting to an end all of the misery that has followed in the previous years before could ever underestimate just how much that day meant. The sun was shining and everything like that, but it's everyone's stock answer. So I'll go San Siro just to try and give a little bit of variety. That was right up there as well.
Definitely. Unfortunately, I was too young to go then, but 10,000 Town fans in the away end. I think there was probably more Town fans than Inter Milan fans. I think they didn't really care. But, you got the opportunity to watch, the original Ronaldo in action. And yeah, I'm sure the San Siro, it's an iconic stadium. So I think that's a fantastic answer.
And sitting on a wooden, a concrete slab as well. I mean, you maybe got these ideas that the San Siro was something luxurious, but it was far from it. So it was a bit of an eye opener. The police outside with their guns and their dogs, like we were something from, a different kind of set of fan base or something like that. I don't think they quite knew how soft us Ipswich fans were. So they came a little bit over prepared, shall we say. I remember somebody actually in the San Siro, we were walking up the helter-skelter staircase to take our seats, and somebody was putting up a moped all the way up there, and it was just part of something that they did. It was mad, and I think somebody had driven a moped off of the higher tiers at a previous game, so there was a little bit of nervousness about it, but it was mental. I mean, them corridors at the San Siro, well, honestly, they were single file, narrow kind of walkway up to it. It was, not something you'd associate with a modern day stadium, shall we say now, with all of the luxury. But all of those things add into the great memories and great experience. And hopefully, my kids will get to do it again at some point. But it seems like a long way away right now.
Definitely. And well, Ben, it's been a pleasure. It's been great to hear your memories. You just said about your kids. So have you got them to support Town and enjoy the agony that we have?
Yeah, they don't have a choice. They're in there. So I've got 4 kids, three boys, and they're all into it. So yeah, I said to them last night. The youngest ones are 8 and 5, And I said to them, "Are we getting season tickets to go back again now that they've been released?" And they both said with some enthusiasm, "Yeah, but we want to sit somewhere different because we used to sit up in the family stand bit, and now that the youngest one is nearly 6, we'll be able to go to a lower tier. So they want to get a little bit nearer to the ground, a little bit nearer to the players, which will be nice for them." I tried to pitch the idea of sitting behind the goal, but they're not really having that. So I think we'll be front row of the co-op. As soon as those tickets come back on sale in a couple of weeks' time, we can get those sorted out, and I'll put them along. I introduced them 2 years ago at the start of the Paul Hurst era, so they've not got any kind of memories. You can't do this kind of interview with them, Ross, just yet.
No.
There's no good reasons. There's no favourite player yet. There's no favourite kit. There's certainly no good memories for them. But yeah, hopefully they'll be able to do this in a couple of years' time and say, "Yeah, I remember that game with my dad." That's what we want to do.
Definitely. I look forward to that. But Ben, it's been a pleasure. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. No, it's been thanks for inviting me on and giving me the opportunity to share some of my stories. Hopefully they weren't all the stock answers and the boring answers that everybody always gives. I've tried to find something a little bit different. So yeah, thanks very much, and let's hope that next season is the best one yet.
Definitely, mate. And well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening and watching. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on Ben's memories, and also, did you go to the San Siro? I'm sure people watching, most of you probably went. But anyways, I've been Ross. I'll see you next time.